Hello, 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 I'm live. I think I'm live. I'm so sorry I'm late, everybody. My class ran a little late today because I had some very talented actors. We're telling your followers that you've started a video. Good, that's nice. Thank you, Instagram. So, yes, sorry that I am starting a little late. Hello, hello, hello. So today, we are going to do a brief Q&A with one of my very best friends, Mr. Ultan Conlon. So I'm looking out for him now, and whilst viewer request. Sorry, I'm looking for Mr. Ultan Conlon. So, whilst we're just waiting for Ultan to jump on, I just want to remind anybody that's watching, our young actors class. We're having a week off next week, but for those of you who are interested, because we had some very talented young people that come and jumped in the other day, and it was really fun. So, if you've got talented kids, nieces, nephews, friends, let them know. I want to find them and mine all of their talent. Okay, now, so where is Mr. Ultan Conlon? Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good morning. Viewer request. No, wrong one. Ah, there's Ultan. There you are, sir. There you are. Hang on, don't go away, don't go away. Hide live, go live, go live. That's me. Yep, yep. All right, now let's see if we can just, through the power of technology. Where is he? Did I just do something wrong? I thought we'd conquered this technical... No, he's there! Hurrah! I'm not completely stupid! Hooray! Hey, buddy, how are you?
Hi, Sean. How are you doing?
I'm good, mate. Nice to see your face. How's things? How's life in Ireland?
Good to see you. Yeah, things are good. Spring is in the air and the weather, it's not raining 24/7.
Well, that in itself is worth celebrating, isn't it?
Terrible weather for writing songs.
Exactly, yeah. That weather might lead you to another hit, which is why we are on this live business today. So, for those of you who aren't aware, Ultan, one of my favourite singer-songwriters and friends, is going to be teaching a course on singing and songwriting. And we asked some people if you had any questions for Ultan, because we're going to be starting in a couple of weeks, right, Ultan?
Yep, starting at the end of May, I believe. The last Sunday in May or the first in June? I got to look at the diary there, but
we'll check. But so if you are interested, obviously, go to the website. There is a lot of the spaces have been filled, I think, but there are a couple left. So if you haven't signed up yet, this is really going to be a fun class. So email the conservatory at theplayerconservatory.com@gmail if you have a request. And so if you have a request about the young actors class or my acting class or Ultan's singer-songwriter class or Emma Hetherington's creative writing class, just email the conservatory. It's the same email for everything. And we also should share, we've got some really exciting other things coming up. We have, if you are a singer, we are going to have a singing course specifically to train your voice. You probably know him, Eamon McChrystal, who's a lovely Irish fella who's won 4 Emmys. He's a pretty damn good singer. So he's just, your course is obviously about the art of songwriting. Eamon's going to be teaching about just the actual physical mechanics of singing. So that's going to be interesting. We also have a chef's course coming up with my great friend Bernard and some other really exciting stuff. But all of that is in the distant future. Now down to the business of questions for Mr. Ultan Conlon. So, Ultan, let's jump straight into this. I don't know who these are from, but, so you may recognize your question here. But so you see, is there a specific key that you like to write in? And is there a reason that you use that key?
Yeah, well, you can write a song in any key, Sean. Like, it depends. You could be sitting in your bedroom, so you don't want to make too much noise if other people are in the house. And, you know, we can be shy about writing songs, so you might write it in a low key, you know, but it can always be transposed, okay?
Right.
Now, the transpose means, you know, you can bring it up higher, you can take it down lower. That's actually a good question because it's really important to mess around with the key. Like half a step up on the guitar or on the piano could be the difference in a hit or not. Some keys are friendlier to the ear. Do you know the key of G is very typical, like so many big hits would be in G. The key of D is good. I used to record a lot of my stuff on the sharp notes, like so instead of G, I'd be playing in G sharp. That's your G. That's very friendly to the ear. So if there's a song on G on the radio, you're immediately you're going to lock into it more than if the song is in G sharp.
Right.
So it's an interesting
But you
question.
know,
Like,
we've never discussed that, and I never really thought about it. I thought, oh, that's an interesting question, but it seemed obvious to me that you sing where your voice is comfortable.
now,
You
look,
know,
I was going to say that is also obviously essential, but you know, you can play around with these things, and actually, it's interesting that you mentioned the vocal workshop, because that is something that when you explore that, you realize, oh, I can sing this a little bit higher. So look at, if it's a thing that, like, I know I used to think my voice was more suited to the G sharp key and that, but lately I'm singing more relaxed. So I'll go down half a step, and I think a song sounds better in the key of G than it would in G sharp. It took me a few years to figure that out, but that's kind of how it works, you
and
know.
presumably, it's you know, we're all individuals. We all have our own unique sort of voice. Obviously, some voices are going to be suited to, you know, you've got to find the comfort in your key, right? You know, like.
Yes.
You know, like when Barry Gibb discovered that he could sing that falsetto thing, and then just they sell
But
every record.
yeah, but you know, that wasn't discovered for a
Yeah,
good few
years.
years. Like, you know, the Bee Gees were probably singing 20 years previous to that. I'd say their first hit was 20 years previous till they realized, ah, ah,
It
ah.
was. It was when they were doing that. He discovered it doing the outro of Broadway Nights. They were like,
Okay.
oh, I like that. Why don't do? You know, I was mind blown by that. But anyway, don't get me started on the Bee Gees.
That's a good example of, you see, you can kind of just go, this is my comfort zone. So I did that. I was like, I'm singing G sharp because that's my comfort zone. But if you've got a producer, like, because I saw that Bee Gees doc as well, it's amazing. And it was the producer who kind of pushed them to do that. So sometimes we're not aware of our abilities in that way. Look, at the same thing with writing a song, Sean. People coming on the course are worried they can't write a song. They can. You need that push, you know, you need that kind of.
I think a lot of people, maybe some of the people that are out there watching, sort of feel like, oh, I love that. I'd love to do that, but I can't because X, Y, Z, whatever the reason is. And one of the reasons that we have this school is to try and make these things available to you in your own house. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
there's so much undiscovered talent out there, and there's so many people that should be giving things like this a try, because you just don't know. And it is joyful. Like, I mean, I'm not a great singer, but I really get pleasure out of singing along, you know, or singing with the guitar and stuff. And it's such a nice, comforting thing that I hope more people discover that in themselves.
Well, I think anyone who's, Sean, like yourself, who sings along or plays a guitar and sings 2 or 3 songs, you've got the tools you need right there to write a song. You know, if you've got the chords and you can sing a cover song, you've got a template. You know, so look at. There are songs in everybody, but like, if you're sitting at home on your own, as unfortunately a lot of people are right now, that self-doubt and that kind of like, oh, where do I start with this? That can be very tricky to pull out of yourself. But I think the group thing does that amazingly. Like, you know, having this group around you, not just me as I'll be a tutor and there to pull people along and help them along. But if it was just me one-on-one, that's harder. But having that group thing.
Yeah.
Brings an
energy in it.
Yes, and it brings an energy and an excitement, and it brings nerves, and all of these things are really healthy. You know, they're essential to our well-being. Strangely enough.
And I think if anything, the pandemic has taught us all that our everything is quite fragile, and where we can find joy, you know, if we can find joy in the simple thing of playing a scene as an actor, or doing a scene as a writer, or writing a song. I mean, what can be more joyful and cathartic than that? On that note, somebody has a question. Will you be teaching about writing in different genres of music? Is it genre specific, or is it a wide open kind of?
Again, that's another good question. It's almost similar to the one, like, what key do you write in? Because look, for me, the anatomy of a song is the anatomy of a song. Like a human being, we're all different. Songs are all different. Genres are different. But like, basically, look at Willie Nelson does a great version of a Coldplay song and a Pearl Jam song. You know, that's genre doesn't really matter. A good song is a good song. A good song will sound good in a punk version. A good song will sound good in a country version. A good song will sound good in a pop version, you know. So genre specific, no, not at all. Like, it's song specific, but then you can tailor that to whatever genre you play, you know, or whatever genre you're into or you aspire to write in. Like, so many great writers for pop music are folk writers and country writers. You know, the guy who writes for Adele, I'm a fan of his. Like, he writes a lot of our songs. Oh God, I can't think of his name now, but he was in a great band. Remember them hits in the 90s, like Closing Time?
Yeah,
And,
closing time.
yeah. So
Oh, he's
that
one of those guys that can just churn out hits.
he
Then.
just disappeared. Like that band disappeared. But like, if you look up a lot of popular songs, different genres, he's one of the main writers on them. So that's where you can take the songs into any genre. I would not worry at all about genre. In fact, the more diversity in genres, the more fun we'll have with the songs.
Yeah, I think that's
You
a good
know?
point. This is kind of springboarding off that. Is songwriting about creating the words or putting the music together? Like, is the songwriting more about creating the words or putting it? Which is one more important than the other, or does one come first, or do you start with the chords, or do you start with an expression that you're like, I like that expression. Let me see if I can find a vocal melody to go with that. Which
Well, is it,
which comes first?
the answer to that is, okay, a song, like lyrics without music is a poem, and you know, music without lyrics is a tune or an instrumental. So for songwriting, they're hand in hand. Words and music go hand in hand. There's no hard and fast rule which comes first. Personally, I tend to get a vocal melody. I might hum something, go, "Ooh, that's nice." I'll find the chords then maybe, or I'll get a line lyric-wise. But I tend to walk along in tandem, Sean.
Right.
Like rarely I'll have a page full of a song with no music to it. I've done it sometimes. You can do it that way, and then you can add the music later. When you do that, you find yourself having to get the phrasing right, and you edit the words, because, you know, sometimes the line doesn't fit into that particular verse. And that's another skill in the art. Like, you know, things can be said in 2 words. There might be a sentence written down, a long sentence, and you can say that sentence just as easy in 3 words as you can in 8. If that makes sense. And then that fits more into the vocal melody. So I'd be exploring tons of stuff like that. That's one thing I find with the craft that I've learned over the years. I've learned to chop the fat away. There's a lot of excess in songs that's not required. Like, when I hear some songwriters or some people sing me their song and it's 5.5 minutes long, I'm drifting off after 2.5 minutes. It's keeping people, you know, kind of listening to the song, and that 5.5 minute song, a lot of the time that can be chopped right down to 3 minutes without losing any of the meaning, but in fact actually giving it more impact and more like head-on directness, you know. So that's going to be a big part of the course, is looking at phrasing, chopping off bits we don't need. Well, saying, well, look, instead of saying that line like that in that big long sentence, let's say it in these 2 words. Right. I won't be telling people exactly now. I won't be chopping their songs up, but, you know, I'll be giving them tools, Sean, that they can do that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, I think, you know, you've been doing it so long, it's so second nature to you, and I've written songs and been in the studio, and I sort of understand the process. But until you actually get in a room with a bunch of other people, you know, it's all unknown territory to a lot of people. So I think that's what I think is going to be so great. I've certainly noticed it in our acting group, in our writing group, that once you start to get to know the people, you find that strength. It's almost like having a ready-made band in a way, isn't it? You know, you've got other people to musically bounce off and stuff like that. So I think that's going to be really, really helpful for
look, it's such a supportive little environment that we're going to create here. Like, you know, I know people are scared going into it. I'm scared going into it, you know. But like that's a really good thing, you know. That's a healthy thing. None of us are jumping in there with big egos. Like, you know, I'm not going to rock up here and intimidate anybody. That's like the last thing I want to do. Like, and it's the least productive thing to do. Yeah, so I know what you're saying. Like, I guarantee definitely after the first week, if not after the first hour, we'll be all kind of sitting pretty, and it'll make a lot more sense.
And like anything in life, I often say to the actors that have come into the class, once they've done that, we always give everybody a round of applause after their first performance, because it's a big thing. It's you know, it's quite scary for people to venture out into this new, you know, maybe they work in a supermarket or something, like, oh, why do I think I can be a songwriter? You can. Everybody was something before they became the songwriter that they became. So, and speaking of which, this is for you, but I think about this for myself. What made you want to become a teacher? What about the music and the performing and then the teaching? What drew you to this?
Well, the first thing as a teacher, the first thing I came to was teaching classical guitar, which is this one I've got here, the nylon string guitar. And I'll be honest, like I was offered the job, you know, by a local school, and I had never thought about teaching, Sean. In fact, when I thought about teaching, I'm being honest here, I thought, oh God, I won't have the patience. I had self-doubt about it. It won't be my thing, you know. And I'll be honest, I was offered, like I'm a solo artist, so I've been doing this over 20 years. Being a solo artist, being self-employed, you go through like really busy, good periods, and you go through down periods, you know, where you don't have an income as well. So I was offered this job as a teacher, and I was hesitant. And oh my God, once I started doing it, Sean, like just the connection. I teach young kids classical guitar, and their parent comes into the room, and like I'm still teaching some of them kids now. They're teenagers 6 years later, and I'm buddies with the parents. Just I realized that when I started doing it, I'm pretty good at this because I can support the kids, I can bring them along. I try to make it fun, you know, not heavy. And like the other thing that made me want to stay teaching, I don't know what made me want to become a teacher, but what made me want to stay teaching is I love the routine of it, Sean. I love the social aspect of it because again, I'm a solo artist. If I'm writing songs, I'm on my own. A lot of the time I'm gigging on my own. I organize all my own stuff. It's a lonely path that. Yeah. So for me to have the teaching 3 days a week during a school year, we'll stay with the kids and classical guitar, that's like a bedrock for me mentally.
Yeah. I totally agree. I never realized how much I would get out of teaching. I didn't realize how much I would enjoy it. And a week ago or something, the Wi-Fi went down and I couldn't teach a class. And I felt very strange. I was like, what am I doing? I should be teaching. And it's amazing how quickly it's become part of my weekly diet, you know, and I get so much pleasure from it.
And it's healthy, Sean. It's like when you get into exercising or something, you don't, nobody wants to start exercising. Let's be honest.
Exactly. No, once it's built into your day, like, right, in the morning I do half an hour of this and that.
You feel better first.
Yeah. But it is tough. Getting back to the songwriting aspect, where do you get the inspiration for writing lyrics?
Well, let me see now. That's the other thing. As a songwriter, I suppose you have to open up the idea to yourself and allow yourself to say, well, look, I'm a songwriter. You have to say, that's what I do. So by doing that automatically, you're kind of putting a little pressure on yourself that I have to write songs. So you open your eyes and ears to more things than you normally would, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So like I wrote a couple of songs this week. Like I saw a story online about a cat in World War II. So that ended up, he was on a German ship, and the Brits shot down this German ship, and they found a cat out floating in the ocean. So they brought him onto his ship. Basically, this little cat ended up on 3 different ships that were sunken. And he earned the nickname Unsinkable Sam. so they ended up like after 3 ships, they said like he's not able for any more. Like, you know, he retired to Gibraltar for a while. And then he ended up in Belfast.
You're kidding me.
No, living in a place called the House of the Sailors, and like with all these sailors, and he was given a burial. He lived to the ripe old age of 15, and he was given like a sailor's burial in Belfast.
Wow, that is insane.
When I saw that, like I said, Unsinkable Sam, there's the title.
That's a song, yes, 100%. Even I would have probably thought, Ultan, have you seen the story about Unsinkable Sam?
Yeah, so like that's, you know, usually you'd read that story and go, that's lovely. But I was immediately going, gotcha, like, you know.
Yeah.
I was going, and so I wrote this song called The Ballad of Unsinkable Sam. It's like 10 verses. 8 minutes long. So like
it's very Bob Dylan of you.
It's like it might need, speaking of editing, you know, I'm after saying I contradicting myself there, but I get myself.
But again, I get what you're saying. Like, you don't, just because a song, you should be economic with your words. You should, a pop song is a pop song. Like, it hits you and it stays with you. But as a songwriter, you can also go off and write an 8 verse. So that's the freedom of the creative process, right?
Yes, and also with lyrics, like the wonderful thing as well, and you can explore this, is like you don't have to have perfect grammar. You can take poetic license, you know. there's so many ways. It's a free thing there with songs. That's the wonderful thing. You don't have to really mind your language. Like, you can be as
Yeah.
creative as you like, and as free as you like. And I wrote that because I challenged myself. I said, I want to write this story about this cat. I want, when people hear it, the song, I want to tell them exactly what happened. Like, so it's a long story, but like that again, for me, again, just setting myself little goals. But that's because I'm doing it so long. I kind of feel like, well, there's that. And then another song I wrote this week was a lot of fun. I was walking. I live in the countryside, but there's a little church near me, and I was walking, and there's a load of tombstones, and I looked in, and there was the name on one of the tombstones, a lady who must have passed away. Her name was Susie Gossip.
Ha!
So I wrote this really light, breezy song about a girl called Susie Gossip who liked to talk about the neighbours.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
that feels very Lennon McCartney-ish. It feels a bit like Eleanor Rigby-esque. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but kind of the opposite of her.
But Sue Gossip, that's such a great name.
Yeah, she's out there chatting about everybody and, you know, causing trouble and stuff. But like, so like stuff like that, Sean. You know, like, where do I get my inspiration for lyrics? Bloody anywhere I can.
Yeah.
You know, you have to be vigilant, and kind of, when you see stuff like that, especially stuff like Susie Gossip or Unsinkable Sam, they're already titles.
Yeah,
like
it's ready made. It's just building the story around it, I suppose.
Exactly, yeah. So it's like, until you it's like, I don't know, anyone listening out there who's thinking of doing this, like, we all know this, okay? If you decide, I'm getting a new bike or I'm getting a new car, all you see for the next 2 months are the cars and bikes you want.
Yeah.
But you never notice them when you're not looking for a bike or a car. Right. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Well, because it's making that part of your brain. It's the same thing I say to my acting students, is the learning the lines is sort of secondary. Sanford Meisner said that the text, the lines, are like a canoe, and the emotion we bring as an actor is the water that it sits on. So how is the canoe going to travel? It depends on the emotion that we bring to it. So our prep, and I'm a real people watcher. So if I'm in a restaurant or I'm standing somewhere and I see something, I'm immediately drawn to it, and I'm immediately thinking, well, what can I steal from that? Like, not pickpocket, but the way people behave under certain circumstances when they're not aware of being watched. You know, when we act, we kind of go, oh, I'm acting now. And like, that's wrong. What we want to do is bring the real world into the class and replicate what we do in real life. And I think that the same thing with songwriting is just always that door is open, or that window in your mind open to spotting a Unsinkable Sam or a Susie Gossip.
No, I think I'm the exact same as you there. You become very hyper vigilant of everything around you, and people, especially. If I get over anxious in the crowd, probably because I'm kind of like trying to take it all in, and there's that over kind of sensory thing going on, because, you know, I'm listening to people chatting over there and trying to go, whoa, what did that guy just say? That's interesting.
But it's the blessing and the curse of the artist, I think, sometimes, because you can't really turn it off. Sometimes it's intriguing and fascinating, and sometimes you're like, I just want to clear my mind. But if, as you say, it's like a muscle. Once you get practiced at it, you can't kind of almost switch it off. There's a couple of questions that are sort of for both of us. One question is, can I take the songwriting and acting class at the same time? Yes, you can, because Ultan, you're going to be doing your classes on a Sunday, I believe, right?
Yeah.
It's a Sunday evening in the UK. So if you're in Europe, it'll be around that sort of 5-6 o'clock time. We'll clarify that later. And if you're in one of my acting classes, but you also want to take Ultan's, they will not conflict. We'll make sure that you're not doing a lesson with me at the same time as Ultan. So yes, you can do both is the answer. The next question is, will the songwriting classes be a series like the acting lessons, or is it a one-time class? Which I think you can answer that one.
It's going to be ongoing, Sean. Yeah, we're going to run this 4-week course, and then, you know, we'll sign if people want to sign up for more, and let's see if we can take the people on this course on another journey after that. You know, I might have a couple of surprises in store there.
Yeah, well, I think with the writing class that Emma did, you know, there was an introduction to it, and then she's sort of given them those pointers. But the group loved it so much that they've now stayed together as a writing group. So the same thing may happen with a bunch of you aspiring songwriters. Might go, all right, Ultan's done his 4-week course, but we want to keep this group together and stuff, and that will be ongoing, we hope. So I hope
you don't like all the little things you're worried about are going to go away, because you're going to see all the things that blossom from it, and they're very, very hard to see right now. And getting that kind of lovely surprise where you realize, oh, I've just gotten these new relationships going here,
And it is, it's so lovely to make, it's sort of like the old-fashioned pen pals, but we actually can all see each other. I mean, my classes, we have people from United Arab Emirates, Italy, Germany, Spain, France, England, Ireland, America, and it's amazing to have all of these different countries all in a class, all playing together. It is really one of the things I love most about it. Is there a minimum age requirement to take this class, Ultan?
Well, yeah, like, I mean, you're not going to send in any kids to this, you know?
Yes.
I think once you're kind of in your mid-teens up, things will be okay, Sean.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's something you really, rather than the age, which should be in your mid to late teens, we want people that that are really, you know, passionate about songwriting and
Look,
ready
it's hard to put an age on that, because I mean, as I told you, I teach kids 7 and 8 years of age. There's one boy I was teaching for a couple of years. He was 11 or 12, and he was writing amazing tunes, and he was completely sharp and on the ball with all of that. Like, so now look, at 9 or 10 is too young, let's be honest. But yeah, 15 up is, you know, it's fine, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. And again, you know, if you are this 11-year-old Mozart genius and you want to come in, you know, drop us a line and let us chat. I mean, you may, you know, 10 or 11-year-old, you might be too young, but if you're also sort of a child prodigy,
well,
then
maybe their parents, so. Maybe their parents give us a call.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so that's pretty much it for all of our questions. We do have some song requests. Will you be kind enough to give us one song before we jump off this?
Sure, absolutely.
All right, so I tell you what, I'll give you a choice, because the fans have spoken and they want either, so you can have one of your tunes: Really Gone, The Will, The Measure, There's a Waltz, and When I Fell in Love with You. Which one of those would you like to gift us today, sir?
For the fun, because I haven't done it in so long, I'll do the one called The Will.
The Will. Okay, that's a very popular one, I believe. I think I sung this one in a movie.
Yeah, so you did. That's actually, I forgot about that. Sorry, Sean. But like, that's a song I wrote when I was probably 19 or 20. So I'd like to do that just to show maybe, you know, anyone there who's 18, 19, and they're maybe feeling that this is, you know, this is one I wrote back then, like, basically without any, you know, just going for it, like, without any sort of not knowing really what I was doing, you know.
Well, then this is a great example of what some of your students might be able to achieve in the next couple of weeks.
100%.
So, all right, everybody. Well, we're in for a treat. Well, Ultan, the stage is all yours, and I'm going to sit back and enjoy this.
Can you hear it okay? 1, 2, testing. Marry me, but let's not wait until the morning time. By then it could be too late, 'cause now it's playing on my mind like a drum, and it's keeping time. Oh, 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 sweet time. It's the will, not the war. There's something waiting down that line, don't you know? Like true love, it's the kind that we all been dreaming of. I puckered up my trembling lips, and then I started out. I sailed away into a kiss. It was a memorable delight. Gonna keep it by my side. Oh, oh, it's sweet time. It's the will, not the war. There's something waiting down that line, don't you know? Like true love, it's the kind that we've all been dreaming of. And one more taste of what it was like. There's a longing in my eyes. You turn
Then you
around and
run
I
and I
touch the
touch
sky. I'm gonna
and I
need
need
you
you
by
by
my
my
side.
side.
It's the wind, not
Now
the
the
moon.
one,
There's something
something
waiting
waiting
down
down
that
that
line,
line,
don't
don't
you
you
know?
know?
Like
Right
true
through
love,
love,
it's
it's
the
the
kind that
kind
we've
we've
all
all
been
been
dreaming
dreaming
of.
of.
It's the wind,
Not the one,
oh, it's
it's
the
the
wind.
wind. Oh, lovely, mate. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Thank you, buddy. It almost for a second felt like we were in the same room, just hanging out and just shooting the breeze and playing music. I can't wait. I can't wait to see you in person, but I also can't wait for this class to start. And I know it's going to be great. And I hope that you guys are going to jump in and take this opportunity, because I think it's going to be fun, especially for you, buddy. I know there's a lot of aspiring songwriters out there, so I think
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait to see the people, meet them, and hear these songs that come out of them. You know, it's going to be exciting.
And you know, one of the things that our writing class is now writing, Emma told me, they're writing monologues that we're going to bring into the acting class. So we're going to have a bit of a crossover. And maybe some of your songwriters could write a song in your course, and then some of our very talented singers in our class maybe be able to perform them in a sort of showcase thing, which might be
I
very
like,
fun.
I like where you're going with that.
I like this cross modulation business. It's all very, very exciting. Ladies and gentlemen, that is pretty much it for today. I just